All right, and we're live with Marley Jaxx, CEO of Jaxx Productions. Marley, welcome to the Happy Hustle podcast.
Hello, Carrie Jack. How are you?
I am fabulous. It's a beautiful day and I'm breathing. I cannot complain. How about yourself?
I'm the same. Grateful to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it is something we really need to just double down on, guys. If you're listening, find some gratitude for the moment. I mean, gratitude is the way. I know there's fear. There's this global pandemic happening. Marley and I are definitely not downplaying it in the least, but adversity strikes and we have a choice. We can either be fearful or we can lead with love. So Marley and I are choosing to lead with love and bring you guys some amazing content on how to share your message with the world. And Marley is an expert at doing so. Marley, for those people who maybe aren't as familiar with Marley Jaxx, what are you best known for in the world?
Well, I started out doing social media and video marketing, doubled down on video. We help people to grow their omnipresence and their message online with video, with the foundation of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. More recently, though, where my business has really grown and my message has gotten out there stronger was when I spoke on stage at Funnel Hacking Live recently.
Crushed it. I was there.
It was the best day of my life. This was like a dream come true for me, but and such a wonderful opportunity. But a few weeks before that, I had announced that my marriage ended. And so it was like the biggest transition of my life while going through the biggest opportunity of my career. And my audience, I said this from stage actually too, that I was a little bit nervous about doing that, about being so vulnerable with, hey, here's the real struggles going on in my life, not just the Instagram filter. Here's like wonderful entrepreneurship business stuff. Here's the reality. Mm-hmm. And it was a little bit scary to share that, thinking, well, people look at me and go, why should I listen to her? She doesn't even have her life put together. But what happened when I embraced that message is that my audience embraced me and the community around me became stronger. And I still, to this day, get messages from people saying like, thank you for being real. Thank you for showing us that. Thank you for persevering despite everything going on. And then that's really become like a pivot in my business to help other people to find their stories and turn that into their message and then be able to monetize their message.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, is being vulnerable, being authentic. And you do that so elegantly. What was that quote that you said? Your life doesn't have to be perfect. What? Say that for us.
Helping people doesn't stop just because your life isn't perfect.
Yeah. That's great, guys. Helping people doesn't stop. Just because your life isn't perfect. You can help people right now with your gifts. You can see this as an opportunity right now. Given our current economic downturn, there is more opportunity than ever. Yes, people are losing their jobs, and tragically so, but you can see through the clout and find a way to share your message, your gift with the world. And that's why I wanted to bring Marley on. She's definitely a happy hustler, but she also is just so vulnerable and so authentic. So I knew that this would be a great episode and timely, because people need to really tap into how they can share and use the power of the internet. And you do that so well. What are some of your higher level strategies to share your message to the world if someone's just starting out right now?
One of the biggest things that I teach all my students and clients is like, first of all, create your story inventory. Meaning like, what are the stories you have in you? What's your origin story? How did you get started? What are those pivotal moments in your life? Or even what are just the little things that you picked up along the way? Even the conversation you overheard at the grocery store becomes part of a story that ties into your message. And as you start to look for those stories around you, you can find content everywhere that can be a transition into a bigger message. And so what I do is I actually have a Google Doc and a note section in my phone where if a memory comes up or a story happens in the moment, I write that down and it becomes my story inventory, so that every time I'm creating content, I don't have to like rack my brain for like, oh, what can I talk about today? There are stories everywhere. And then that story relays into your message, which then you can monetize.
Yeah, love that. Story inventory. What is your story inventory, guys? Mm-hmm. And how can you leverage that story to connect with people? Speaking of stories and starting out, talk to us a little bit about your origin story and how did you get into all this?
I was a dental hygienist, which is crazy.
Which explains your beautiful smile, right?
Ding. That's so funny. Some of my YouTube videos, like I have a folder of screenshots of people being like, why are your teeth so white? And sometimes like haters being like, stop bleaching your teeth. And I'm like, swear I do not. Like, I just don't drink coffee or tea or anything. So, and I, brush and floss. So
That's key. I drink coffee through a straw now.
Do you?
I do. What?
Is it hot coffee?
It is. I drink from the top. That's a new hack I'm getting into.
Interesting. Well, anyway. Enough coffee and dental talk here.
Yeah.
I used to be a dental hygienist, and I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do forever. But I started doing social media on the side. Just the dental office asked me if I could do it for them because I knew how. And then that turned into more clients. And then I wanted to get more clients, so I started making videos for myself. Well, those videos started to take off. So I was like, can I do videos like this for my clients? And then those started to take off. So it really just exploded and snowballed from there until I became the overnight success that put in the several years of work before everyone sees it.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone you see online is just got lucky, overnight. That's what happened. It's not 10,000 hours. That role just was made up by someone not intelligent whatsoever. No, it's so true. It really does take time. You have to stay committed to the process. That's why it's so important to have passion for what you do, and that higher purpose as well. Where were you born? You were born up in Canada, correct? And what was it like growing up?
I had a great childhood. My parents are the best. I have tons of extracurricular activities, playing piano, singing, acting. Yeah, I think that's what made me like such a performer on videos. And even in what I do, like, I want to be an entertainer as much as I'm an entrepreneur and teaching and stuff. I also consider myself a performer. And I think a lot of that came from being in so many activities as a kid and just being so outgoing and extroverted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's such a huge need for capturing attention. You have to have some type of performance behind your message, your content, or else people just keep scrolling. It's like hard to grab that attention. You only have 6 seconds, they say, which I'm sure is decreasing now by the minute with all the other content. But absolutely. I also, grew up in the entertainment world and, acted and modeled for, still do. I just posted a commercial. I was in a beer commercial last month, and, it's fun to have your foot in the entertainment world. And really some of the greatest lessons I've ever learned were in my improv training with Second City and in Chicago, 3.5 years of training there. Like, I lean on that ability to adapt and innovate on camera in so many different capacities. So I recommend highly to everyone. You heard it from Marley, like, she is a performer and she uses that to convey her message. So use this time wisely to hone your skills on camera if that is something you want to do. Love that. Who do you think instilled this early on grit and hustle in your life? Is it someone in particular, or a coach or parent, or?
Yeah, both my parents. And like, I can see things in both of them that my dad my parents own a hockey league, which is very Canadian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my dad always works, and he's still like, I'm 29, and so he works for the government as well. So he must have worked for them for like 32 years, and he'll retire, I think, next year. And then he also had the hockey league for as long as I've been alive too. And so he would work during the day and then was very present, like an amazing dad, between the hours of like 5 to bedtime, whatever. And then at night would work on the hockey league business till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then my mom too, she like full-time work, like she worked outside of the home, and then very present mom, like she cooked all our meals, she did all the housework, she like sewed our Halloween costumes and stuff from scratch, and just
rock star.
Yeah, like I have really great examples of parents that are hardworking and dedicated to their families too. So I'm really glad that, it's funny, I was at a mastermind once where we were talking about our childhood and how it makes us who we are, and there was a girl that looked at me and was like, you mean to say that your parents stayed together and you had a happy childhood? And I was like, oh, I didn't realize. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's rare. It is rare. I come from, divorced family, and I think it's the norm these days. It's like, to find people who actually ride it out and love each other throughout the process. It's rare. It's sad, but it's true. So yeah, that's beautiful. I'm glad you had that as an example and can continue to share, that love and light and those experiences because of it. Yeah. I do want to get into your own relationship and some of those lessons you've learned, because I think it is interesting and probably you have some amazing takeaways. But before we do, I want to know, what's something that not very many people know about you?
Oh, goodness. I once was in a limo with Bono from U2.
Oh, there you go. That's a pretty good secret kept, I bet.
I started to turn it into my content because I teach charisma and I teach how like celebrities are so charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I share my story of being in a car with Bono and having a moment to like Bono for me, like this is, if I'm gonna fangirl over someone, it's Bono.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I used to be a paparazzi assistant when I was in year of university. That was one of the things that I did on the side for money, was like they would hire young little cute girls and be like, hey, go to this celebrity and ask them for an autograph, that then the paparazzi would later sell. Not that like the thing with Bono wasn't a paparazzi situation, but I knew how to find Bono because of my experience as a paparazzi assistant.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I want to get into some happy hustle hacks specifically for, let's talk about business first, because right now is an important time for a lot of people struggling, going through, maybe severe losses in their business. Also, maybe they lost their job and they want to reinvent and they want to use this time to pivot. Yeah. What are some of the strategies that you've used to identify your strengths in business and how maybe others can as well?
That's such a great question. And for me, it's like you have so many things that maybe you like or that you're good at, but then also the things that you see your audience respond to. Mm-hmm. And the things that also just flow, like that when you're doing it, you're like, I could do this over and over, like talking to you, like we could go on for hours.
We could.
And then also seeing the areas where like it feels a little stagnant or that you're not getting a response from your audience. So even for me, like when in my videos, I think pre-marriage ending, that pivotal moment in my life, a lot of my videos were like tactics and strategies. And then I learned how to tell stories, and then everything blew up from there. And then I had to but I could only understand that by seeing what my audience was responding to. Mm-hmm. And then, just like, what are you actually good at? What makes you come alive? Yeah,
those are great points. Telling stories. I mean, stories have literally been passed down from generation to generation. Yeah. That's how we have history. You really need to think about what stories you can tell that can connect with the audience, that are relatable. And I love that as a strength. Like, obviously there's fear in right now the world, but also in ourselves, sharing our stories, being vulnerable. But I think when you really can just, lay it all on the line, people connect with that. There's just a huge human component to doing so. How have you leveraged your stories to actually then monetize and create products and services around those stories and helping others, share their stories as well?
And even with what we're going through right now, so I think there was a statistic that was like, the internet has just spiked. Like, so many more people are spending time on the internet. They're consuming content.
Yep.
So if you can be a producer of the content that people are consuming and then use that as a way to nurture them and drive them towards an offer, you win. Instead of just like hammering at them like, hey, this product is awesome, you should buy it. You're telling them why. Yeah. And you're giving them that emotional shift into why they should, because people buy based off of emotion and then they justify based on logic. So, and people can do this in like scare tactics kind of ways, or do it in inspirational kind of ways.
Yep.
So, I mean, of course, there's stuff going on in the news right now that's very scare tactic, but then there's also the like, hey, you got this, and here's how we're going to shift your life right now. So your job as a storyteller is that your story is better than their story. And by their story, it's their false belief. So whatever you overcome in that story. Yeah,
that is such a great point. You have to break down their self-limiting beliefs, and you have to use emotion in doing so. Do you have a value to offer ratio that you use in terms of, hey, I do 10 stories that are all driving to an inspirational message or, valuable content, and then one offer, or what's your ratio?
Well, so and I think most people will be like 80-20, like give 80% and 20% like sales stuff. But then I've translated that into like how much of the content is value, but still having a call to action in every piece of content.
Okay.
So if you just give value, sure, that's great. But in every video I'm doing, like I'm doing these videos every single day while we're in this crisis, because I'm just like, I'm going to get louder. This is my time to get louder, not to dim. Like, I need to be a light in this dark time instead of going dark with the rest of the world. So in my content, I do like a 5 or 10 minute Facebook Live. And yes, 80 to 90% of that is value. And at the end, I'm like, if you want me to help you, click the link below. I'd love to have a call with you, or like join this thing. It's a low cost. I'm not saying like, hey, give me thousands of dollars. I'm also bringing them into something that I know is affordable, and that in my content and in my case studies, I show them like, I'm committed to getting you a result in this. So sure, if you invest $47 with me, you're going to get way beyond that. So I think that's our moral obligation too, to give a call to action that's going to change people's lives. And then it's up to them if they want to invest in it, or just by being of service at this time, they'll know, like, and trust you for when they are ready for it, whether they invest or whether they refer you to someone else.
Yeah, great points there. How do you use your video content to cut through the noise online? Is there any strategies or tactics, or, something like in terms of headlines or captions that you use to really, cut through the noise these days?
Yeah, I try to be funny. Like, one of the pillars of my content is just, I try to be a stand-up comedian on my Instagram stories. And so that hopefully keeps people coming back for more. And from what I've seen, I think it's doing a good job.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I at least enjoy my own humor. So.
Hey, I feel the same about mine. I'm like, you know what? I don't know if that was a funny joke whatsoever, but I laughed,
Yeah. So good. But yeah, like in the captions of things, or in, the beginning of your content, is how can you hook them in right away? Because like you said, we have like 6 seconds to pull people in. So it's not like, like, we'll just kind of lamp this up. It's like, you think of soap operas, how right before, like in the first minute, it gives you this hook cliffhanger. And you're like, what happened? What happens next? Well, you got to stay to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's essential, guys. You have to hook them early. I mean, even at Funnel Hacking Live, Prince EA was talking about how important that first initial, 5 to 10 seconds is. Also, your headlines, Prince EA was talking about how using just numbers and parentheses in your headlines can really capture attention and increase conversion and click-through rates. So it's really, you have to break it down. And there's a science to getting attention these days and cutting through the noise. And Marley just dropped, value bomb in terms of getting that first 6 seconds and hooking them. In terms of call to actions, let's talk about how you structure your call to actions. Is there anything in particular that you do that you've seen effective?
So I always want to give something that's either free or a low cost, so that it's totally affordable. Because if it's the first time you're meeting me and I'm like, hey, here's the thing for $1,000, like proposing before you've even gone on the first date. Like, you got to court me. I got to meet your parents.
Take me to dinner first. Come on.
Hello.
I'm not that type of guy. Jeez.
That's right. So that's important, that it's something that's easy. It's like a low investment of their time and their money. And even just like your email inbox is like sacred space. Like, it can be offensive too if you just like jump in there too fast.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to do as well is try to put the call to action close to the beginning, because like we said, they might not stay till the end of the video. So if you wait till the end of the video, you might have lost them.
Yeah.
So one of the things, we just did this for one of my clients, where we're doing this video about like what to get at the grocery store to, be healthy and make sure you're stocked up and everything. And then she's like, by the way, before we get into it, I actually put my my grocery list right in the description that you can get it and print it right off yourself. All right, let's get into it. So we did it at the beginning so that people are like, oh, perfect, I want that, instead of watching like 3/4 of the way. And then they're like, oh, like, look, a cat, like,
Yeah. Oh, squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. You have to put your CTA early, or at least talk about it early on. So if people do want what you're providing, but they don't want to wait for the whole, video to find out what it is, or where they can get it, give the people what they want, right? Yeah. I mean, it's very true. And speaking of which, guys, Marley actually has an awesome free challenge that we're going to get into if you stick around to the end of this interview. See what I did there? Because it is an amazing 21-day challenge, and we'll tell you where to get it and so much more. You know what? I'm curious, Marley, what was your first hustle? Can you remember?
My first hustle, I remember when I was a kid, my brother and I made this, we made a menu and we put it all over our house for people who wanted to shop at or to dine at our restaurant. And so we would try to hustle like my grandparents for like, hey, I'll make you some chicken fingers for
nice.
Yeah, I don't think it went very well. I don't think it lasted long.
No. Oh, well, you live and learn. That's what happens in business. I've had about 4 companies now, 3 failed epically, made some money on one, but that's the journey of an entrepreneur. You just keep going. You never lose if you don't quit.
Absolutely. Good one.
Yeah. I want to get into some happy hustle hacks for the listeners. Let's start out with health, because right now health is a priority in the world. If you don't have your health, especially given the pandemic, you're really not going to be able to focus on anything else. Like, health is a priority. What are some of the happy hustle hacks, I call them, that you do to stay healthy and vibrant and energetic, especially during this time? But any go-to routines that you could share with the listeners?
Yes. Tons of water. Always drinking
there you go.
Water, like a ridiculous amount. I always, every day, vitamin D, magnesium, always that. I also have this, you'll know what it is.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, I don't know why, it just makes me happy. What is it called?
Well, which one is that? It's the Volkey. Yeah. For
it's called the Human Charger, right?
Yeah, the Human Charger. Yeah.
So I don't even know why I love it so much, but it's like putting on headphones and then it shines.
Yeah, Anthony has like 3 of those at the office that sometimes I plug into.
Yeah, I love them. And I don't know, they just make me happy. It's like my little happy pill by just putting these in for like 15 minutes a day. And it's, I can multitask. I'm just working while I do it. And I exercise every day. Like, I have a really great strength training and cardio, and just do that for like half an hour, 45 minutes a day. And try to not eat sugar, but lately, definitely being stuck inside, I'm like, give me a cookie.
Just give me a cookie. I know. It's tough, especially when you're like just looking at your kitchen all day, or your fridge or your pantry, and you're like,
Oh, I also really love the Aura Ring.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. And you track your sleep. She's getting regular exercise, moving every day, hyperhydrating, getting that light therapy. I mean, if you live above the 47th parallel, it's imperative that you're getting proper sun exposure, or at least red light therapy. Supplement with, the Juve light or the Human Charger. And these different modalities can really help. Your body needs that light in order to produce ATP energy. So if you're not getting the proper sunlight exposure, because, right now it's still winter for you, you really need to think about how you can supplement that. The vitamin D3 with the K2 is a really good supplement for that. Those are some great happy hustle hacks. I like it. In terms of spirituality, let's do a hard U-turn. Are you spiritual? Do you tap into a higher power? And if so, what are some of your practices that maybe some people can listen to and get some value from and apply themselves?
Absolutely. I would consider myself very spiritual. And I think, for myself, I had like a spiritual awakening. Like, I think most people who would consider themselves spiritual can like find that moment in their life where they were like, that's when it all clicked, or that's when I realized I was living my life half asleep. And sometimes it's a traumatic thing that wakes you up to it. Or in my case, it was a close family death that after that was like, whoa, life becomes real, and you realize that you have this higher calling and a purpose and like a reason why I'm here to serve, and what's like the bigger purpose other than just like going to a job and going to the bar on the weekends, like when I was 20 years old. And
the weekend warriors.
The weekend warriors. Now it's the wake up warriors.
Yeah, right.
And so my awakening was just realizing like I have a higher purpose than this, and tapping into intuition and like really listening to my body, feeling like there is a higher power leaving me signs and synchronicities and things leading me towards my path. Even the people I meet along the way, being like, met them for a reason. Like, even you showed up in my inbox. We met at Funnel Hacking Live last year. Even you asking me to come on this show with you, which is to be here, happened like a few days after finding out that I had carbon monoxide poisoning. Who better to talk to than you in that time?
Yeah, I think everything happens for a reason in some capacity. I mean, even this pandemic, the world needed a break. I mean, it's tragic, but everything I believe happens for a reason. And do you do any meditation or any practices or prayer or anything in particular?
Prayer for sure. Journaling, which makes me feel just connected to myself, and like feeling like those are affirmations, and just requests or like, just energy out to the universe. I have the Muse headband for meditation. I really like that.
Yeah, I know Ariel, the founder. We had her on the podcast.
So cool. Yeah. It's what a cool machine. That's such a invention. Yeah, have that.
Awesome. Those are great. Those are great happy hustle hacks. I mean, you have to lean on a higher power, especially in times of adversity. Mm-hmm. And whether you use some biohacks to help get you there or journaling, these are great practices that you guys can apply right away to just tap into a higher power and, help yourself become a little more spiritual. Let's get into the money topic, because I want to talk about money. In order to be a happy hustler, you need to have your finances in check, at least be able to, really live from an abundant state. And I'm not saying you need to have millions of dollars in the bank, but we need to be able to take care of our basic needs. And it is one of the alignments of being a happy hustler is just being financially literate, I call it. What do you use for managing your money or investing or saving, or any tactics that you have seen effective that maybe the listeners can benefit from that, you've seen help you in your financial game?
Mm-hmm. So I joined a program from Alex Charfen, and he taught this.
I love Alex. He's the man.
The best. He's very much a biohacker too.
Yeah. We were at his house. He was showing us the pulse and all the toys he's got.
He's like, his house is like a museum of.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are like that
too. Yeah. We had a whole bunch of, there was a lot of synergies there.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Alex taught me this system called CEO metrics, where you're looking at like your revenue, your profit, your employees, your expenses, what you're making for each employee, but then also the personal expenses, like what's your personal, your assets, and how you're paying yourself, what you're saving, making sure that like you profit first. And I definitely went through a period in my business where I was in the red and I was living off of my line of credit and just investing, thinking like, okay, I'm going to do this and then that's going to pay off. And that didn't work. Okay, I just got to invest a little bit more and then that's going to pay off, until I found myself like $100,000 in debt and was like, wave the white flag. I can't do this. I'm going to lose my house. And I had to cut a lot of my team and rebuild. And that was a really hard time. But that taught me so much about, you got to make sure you're living within your means, that you have savings, that if something like, hey, a pandemic were to show up and affect your business, that you have the systems in your business and also the savings for you personally.
Yeah, knowing your numbers is essential. Really, those CEO metrics have to be able to read your balance sheet and know your, ROI on certain investments. You can't, like, at this point in our lives, guys, incompetence is a choice. Like you have all of the necessary information out there at the touch of a button. Just you have to apply yourself, and become financially literate. Great points there. Let's get into relationships and let's, hear some of your relationship story and how you knew it was the right time to walk away from your ex relationship, and how now you've been managing and adapting and really just what you have found to be effective to have a loving relationship, not just, with a partner, but in your friendships and, with your family members as well.
Yeah. And I mean, that's when you have good relationships around you, that can fuel you to be the best human that you need to be. And in my marriage, we got married when I was a dental hygienist, and that's the life that he signed up for. And I grew and discovered my entrepreneurial personality type and went all into it. And in a lot of ways, it was kind of not betraying, but like, that's not what he signed up for. And that's not what he wanted to grow with. And he did try to come along for the ride with me, but it wasn't it wasn't working, and it wasn't the lifestyle that he wanted. And I wanted to keep growing in this way. And there were definitely a lot of conflicts there. And it got to a place where like we kept trying and just almost got to a place where it was just toxic and not good for either of us. And it was, I heard the thing about relationships, how men and women break up differently. Women, they're like grieving while it's ending, and then men grieve after it's ended. So by the time it was over for me, it was like very over. And it was also interesting because my life is so public. and again, I have this wonderful community that really surrounded me and supported me. But I also had so many people that were like, "Are you okay? Oh, honey, I'm so sorry." And it's just a lot of outside sources that were pouring into me and so appreciated. But I went to therapy after that to be like, am I okay?
Yeah.
Like, I have all these people that are saying like, you should be doing this and you should be doing this and take this time and you're not grieving properly. And I'm like, I don't have a rule book for this.
Yeah.
So I went to a wonderful therapist, absolutely love him. And when I'm in Boise, he's in Boise because I was living there for a bit. When I go there, I do still see him. And he had explained and just brought clarity to me that like I was in so much grief and pain in the marriage that then after it ended was a period of self-discovery. Mm. So I'm okay.
Yeah, high five. I mean, it is. You just broke it down great, not in terms of like the divorce, but how you recognized, okay, I'm growing this way. If you're growing this way, we're going to grow apart.
Yeah.
And it happens in relationships. Like we all are constantly evolving. So sometimes if you're not growing together, then there's no choice but to, consciously and lovingly separate and, move forward in your existence and support one another in the process. It's never easy, grieving in any capacity, especially a relationship. But yeah, having that clarity and then the self-discovery after you break free from the shackles of that toxic cycle. Because once you're fighting and then breaking up and then fighting and then making up, it's toxic. So you have to then break free, take some time to self. You have to love yourself in any relationship. Doesn't matter. You have to give from your overflow, but then discover who you are apart from your relationship is really that that key cornerstone to growing and then stepping into your full power, which I think you are now. So that's great. I'm excited to watch you continue to grow. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. Do you have a happy hustle hack or multiple, I'm sure you do, that help you in your entrepreneurial journey, hire, a team or, managing cash flow in the business or anything in particular that you use that you've leaned on as an entrepreneur?
So much of I had no idea how much I was going to love being a leader. Like at first it was just like you start a business so that you can make money and earn a living and have flexibility and freedom in your lifestyle. And then you get to a point where you're like, there's so much more to it than this. And the impact I get to make and how I get to change lives. And it's a ripple effect from like, okay, I'm doing this. And then like you build this team around you that like we're doing this. And you build a community around you that it's like, they, like they're also spreading my message for me too. And it's so incredible to see. And I'm so grateful for the ability to learn about leadership and to also have mentors around me that I mentioned Alex Charfen, Russell Brunson, like having these people that you can look to and go, well, watch how they're doing and stand on the shoulders of giants. So, I learned so much about building a team and managing a team from Alex Charfen, managing my time and even just self-care because how can I be the best entrepreneur and grow my business if I don't have the mindset and the health and like who I need to be? My business will only grow to the level that I do.
Yeah, very true. Mentorship is essential. You have to find people that you identify with that inspire you, learn from them, reverse engineer the process. Break down, what they're doing and just model it. There's really nowadays, everything that's happening has been done before in some capacity. There's always, some new innovation in terms of putting two ideas together or multiple ideas together, but you can find a playbook. You can find a recipe for just about anything you want these days. You just have to go out there and then learn from those mentors and then apply those lessons. That's, something that's helped me substantially on my entrepreneurial journey as well. I want to get into the rapid fire round and then wrap this bad boy up. This is basically where I just ask you a question. You answer first thing that comes to mind. Okay.
Love it. Okay.
All right. Ready? Favorite movie? Go.
The Greatest Showman.
Oh, good one. Favorite food?
Steak.
Oh, favorite book?
Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close.
Oh, good one. What's your spirit animal?
A lion.
Like it. Rawr. Best business advice?
How helping people doesn't stop just because your life isn't perfect.
Oh, I like that. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, easy. I wish I could freeze time. I would get so much done.
Yeah, very true.
I'd never be late. I'd always have the right answers.
Right? Yeah. One word you wish to be synonymous with your name for the rest of your life.
Integrity.
Oh, good one. 3 things you're most grateful for right now.
My house, my health, my friends and family. I know that's 2, but the friends
counts. Awesome job. You crushed that rapid fire round.
Fun. Rapid
fire. Marley, where can people go to find out more about you? I know we teased that challenge. Where can they go to get that challenge? Talk to us a little bit about that and maybe some of your social media handles, because I know you drop value bombs on the regular. Where can people go to follow you?
And stand-up comedy.
And stand-up comedy.
My Instagram is where on my stories I try to be a comedian. So Instagram.com/Marley Jaxx. Same thing, YouTube.com/Marley Jaxx. That's where there's a ton of just tutorials and training videos. The challenge though isn't free. It's $47, but it's incredible. Like in the
worth it.
21 days, people are getting their channels to like 1,000 subscribers from scratch. They're making money off of their videos immediately, like right within the 21 days. So $47 for that. And over the 3 weeks, we create your video strategy, your message, your offer, and your content strategy for the next 30 days and beyond. So that's infiniteimpactchallenge.com.
Wow. infiniteimpactchallenge.com. And then Marley, MarleyJaxx on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, etc. You guys definitely should follow Marley. She is hilarious in her content and it's super informative and educational. So can't beat that. Marley, last question before we say goodbye. What does happy hustling mean to you?
I mean, happy hustling, it just sounds good, but like there's the hustle that sounds draining, but happy hustle means doing something with integrity and having balance in what you're doing, being fired up about this hustle that you're in. And I know that there's hustle seasons where you're working hard, but like if you love what you're doing and you're in alignment with yourself and your purpose, that feels like a happy hustle to me. Boom.
Crush that. Love it. Thank you so much for your time, Marley. This has been awesome. I truly appreciate it. Any final words for the listeners or viewers?
Listen to what Carrie says. I have a list from even our conversation before this, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go buy this thing, and I'm going to do that. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Marley, for your time. This has been awesome. Thank you guys for watching and listening.